What is up, Restoration Nation? It is Pastor Steve Harris, and I am joined here today with my wife, Anna Marie.
Hi there, guys.
And
Good to see you today.
this is The Grind.
Well, actually, I can't see you.
Yeah.
I always say that.
We want to see you, okay?
Yeah.
So,
Please come on.
this show, as we've said, and we'll say countless times, is more geared toward entrepreneurs and geared toward people who are starting maybe churches, businesses, organizations, projects, whatever, okay?
Yeah.
And essentially what we're doing is we're just sharing our heart about the things that we've learned over the last 4 or 5 years about starting something from new, which is what was originally Millville Community Church, which now became Restoration House.
Yeah. Last
So
night, right?
my darling here is with me. She's keeping me in line to interview me, and we're going to talk about, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, consistency was on your heart today. I wonder why. Are you consistent in life?
Oh, I'm consistent, all right.
That brings us to our first question.
Well, wait.
Right?
Yeah,
Oh.
Let's go into that a little bit.
Okay, sorry.
First of all, I consistently like Star Wars. Okay?
Oh, and Disney, big time.
Yes. So,
We just did that in unison.
we are so lame, it's not even funny. All right. So let's get down to
That
it.
was not rehearsed.
So, it kind of like goes on the subject of habits, really. But I'm finding that in my own life, honey, and I know that you and I talk quite often about our own hang-ups and good stuff.
Yeah.
And over the years, how we've exercised profusely and then totally dropped off, and then
Yeah.
exercised profusely and drop off.
Yeah.
We say we consistently want to pray together, and
Yeah, so I
that
was just thinking about
kind of happens and doesn't happen, and it's just like, yeah.
And we consistently meet together and we say, let's go to bed earlier so that we can get up a little earlier and have a plan and have discipline and intentionality in our lives, right?
Oopsie
Is
daisy.
that a word?
Well, that wraps up our video for today. She does speak truth.
Can anyone relate to that? Does it happen,
Well, that's the bottom line. When you can be consistent with something that is completely bad for you, like going to bed way too late, and then saying you want to get up early and you don't get up early. You can be consistently bad with what you eat, consistently bad at how you start thinking negative thoughts, consistently bad. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
And then you feel like a consistent epic fail in life, you know?
Yeah. Like I'm noticing it right now just watching this. I consistently slouch. I have bad posture. And I have to do a better job of keeping myself up, sitting up.
Yep, and I'm watching,
Hey,
trying to watch
oh.
mine, like, as I'm sitting
Let the
here.
belly jiggle.
Feels good to put your shoulders back, too.
Like that, right?
Honey, feel your shoulders. When you put them back, it feels like you feel that real awesomeness in the back. Like,
What are we talking about, consistency? All right, so let's get back to this. So, consistency, when you talk about from an entrepreneur perspective, and you talk about a church planning perspective, or again anything you're doing new.
yeah.
When you start something new, you have to be consistent and not look at the whole pie and get so frustrated because you didn't get it all done in one day. But I've heard people say, why not put the 10-year plan in front of you and get it done in 6 months? Now, you may kill yourself doing it. And some people, hey, you know what? If they want to be a workaholic, I've heard some people who are prominent business people who are saying, you got to work, 7 days a week. I prescribe to a little bit of a different view.
Right.
And the view that I'm going to say, and then we're going to get into our questions, is this. I believe, again, I'm a pastor. We believe in the biblical view that if God needed to take a day off, we should too. So 6 days you work, 7th day you rest. Whatever your 7th day looks like these days, take a day of rest. I need my thoughts, but the one thing is, I need to be consistent every day of how I feed my soul, feed my mind, and my body. So mind, body, spirit, right?
Right, soul is mind.
You have your own routine, I've got my own routine, and somehow, some way we come together, and then, we're off and running. So we have a routine that we do that with. But when you're starting something new, you're going to have to be consistent, and it's almost like the old Snow White Seven Dwarf thing where they're like, we dig, 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 you know that song?
In the mine,
yeah. But they consistently hit at it little by little by little. I remember hearing John Maxwell talk about that, honey, where he talked about the whole five. It was a story about how guy says, I need to cut down this oak tree in the backyard.
Yeah.
Had no tools but an axe.
Yeah.
And every day he went out there and hit it 5 times, put it down, walked away.
Yeah.
Until finally one day that tree came down. So
yeah.
Anyway.
And that's work. It makes me think of like you're singing the song, hi ho, it's off to work we go.
I know.
Doom, doom, doom. Okay.
So,
all right. So it's going to bring us to our first question then. Then why is it so hard to be consistent in our day to day?
Well, it's very easy to be consistent with bad habits.
It is. Yeah.
That's simple. Because that means you just go on overdrive.
The things that we want to do, things that we know we should be doing, you know?
So I'm going to call out my leadership team if they watch this. There's a program I use called Trello. And all of a sudden they've all rebelled against me because it's like a project management tool. Now I've been bad with it too, and I need to get back into it and really start focusing some things there. But the bottom line is, I remember what you and I did last year with our house. And we went, I remember, you know, again, I'm talking from my standpoint here, God, you know, telling us to go through the house, and no matter how much money you didn't have or whatever, just go through, write down the things you want to fix. They need fixing. We put a whole list together, we prayed over it together, and miraculously over the summer last year, a lot of that list is gone.
Oh, yeah.
There's a handful of things still, we still have big things. There's a lot of movement that's been happening.
Yeah.
And we didn't have anything to do with it as far as money goes. It was just like, bam, here's the help, bam, here's the resource. So, you know. And
well, I think we had
well, we
plenty
did
to do with it,
because
considering
you had been able to work
Yeah.
an extra hours, which was good.
Yeah, it was hard to let that go, but then you reap this, you know, afterwards, and you're like, wow, this is what we've been wanting to do, and if we just held on to that money, then we wouldn't see the improvements, right?
Yeah, and there were big improvements. The house is old and
Right.
it needs a lot of new things in it. So, so when we're talking about, the question was, what was it? Why is it so hard?
Yeah,
It's a mindset to me.
it is a mindset.
I just keep hearing it over and over again. I'm thinking about doing this push-up challenge, and a friend of mine's like, come on, just do it. Just drop down and just start doing it. And I might even do it because I told the church that I was going to do 100 push-ups one day, and they're like, yeah. I haven't done even 10.
You did 10. You told me you did 10.
Yeah, but I mean, like, consistently.
Yeah.
So
There's that word.
what I'm thinking about doing is I'm thinking about setting up a separate series, if you would, calling the Pastor's Push-Up Challenge, and then having it like a YouTube Live, and then be able to do that. But if I do that, it's now going to hold me accountable to do push-ups every day. See that? Technology and other people.
Yeah.
So sometimes, you know, the real mentally tough people can do it alone.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But I need to kick him in the rear end. God even knows that. That sometimes he'll send somebody along to go, get with it.
I do too. Talking about the bad, consistent things that you do, I'm sorry, it's sleep. Like, I need it and want it. Maybe I don't need it as much as I want it. Anybody? I mean, I feel like I need that sleep. Like today, knowing I'm off, right? I just wanted to stay in that bed and just be relaxed on the pillow.
You're a little older now, sweetheart.
Stop. It's not that. It's,
you guys want to guess how much
sleep
older
just
she
feels
is?
so good.
So anyway.
But I want to be consistent in getting up again. I know I can do it. I did it, and I did it for years of my life.
So look at the bad habit and look at the good habit.
I was consistent.
The bad habit is you're consistent
In sleep.
in sleep. The good habit would be fight it, get up, don't snooze, jump out of bed, handle it.
And how come when I know I got to go to work, I'm up? So what's the difference?
What's
If
the
I
difference?
disciplined myself and was intentional about, okay, I know I want to get up and get on that treadmill or get on the Bowflex or whatever the situation is, and we have that equipment down there that we can work on.
Yep.
And I've used it, and I loved it, and I love how I felt and looked and everything else.
Well, let's move to the
So
second
then-
question here.
Why is it important then to be consistent, let's say in a good way?
I heard Tony Robbins say this a while ago, and I've read it in the Bible. numerous times about, when you look at progress, when you progress towards something, for me at least, it gets you excited. You're setting off and you're going, okay, I need to get to here, but I'm over here. And then every day, little by little, you see the needle move just a little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit. It's like a football game. And you got 100 yards, and let's just say the offense is now on their own 5-yard line, and they march 95 yards all the way down the field, little by little by little by little until they score, right? They take a huge amount of drive, huge amount of energy, but little like 2-yard pickups, 3-yard pickups, 2-yard pickups, 5
First down,
first down,
yeah.
and they do it again,
Yeah.
and they methodically go through it, one after another after another. And I think that's what God's showing me in my personal walk, is that I got frustrated because I'm like, if I don't get all this done tomorrow, like, it's over, right? If you're in it for the long haul, especially with life, you have to be consistent little by little by little, to say intentionally. Why is it that we're intentional for all you coffee drinkers out there? Here's mud in your eye. How come we're consistent with having coffee every morning? Because that's what we want. That's what we desire. And so hell and heaven and everything else like separates to get to the coffee pot, right? It's like we got to have that Java jolt. We're consistent every day, coffee every day. Now, if you turned it into tea, you'd have to do the same thing.
Which you and I have done.
We've done it, and then we're going back to coffee, and back to tea.
We went coffee and we went tea.
Think?
Yep, back and forth. It's kind of
coffee
like,
for life.
what's up with that?
But anyway, so you're consistent to say no matter what, that's an important part of my morning routine. So it's all about your priorities, and I believe the hard parts are, from a spiritual perspective, we're in a war.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So Satan does not want us to, to do the things that we're doing. So he's going to throw things.
Talked about.
So the war is, for your mind. It's for your soul. For those of you who are a believer in Jesus, we believe we've won. But your mind still needs to be renewed. So if you're not thinking right, which you know me, I wake up and shaking because anxiety and everything. My mind has to be constantly straightened out. It has to be encouraged. It has to be convicted. It has to be, put with thoughts that are not going to go against it, to say, okay, look, wait a minute. What's the worst that can happen here?
Right.
And I'm not going to settle for that. There are certain things that we will not settle for. Somebody comes in our house and starts talking bad about Jesus. I ain't mad at you, but you're not in the right forum here. I'll respect your opinion.
Yeah.
But if you're going through here making fun of our, our crosses and everything else, I'm going to show you the door. Why? Because we have made a consistent effort to say we live our life for Him.
Right.
To the best of our ability.
And that's only been for, 14 plus years it's been for us. So
Yeah.
most of our lives, we didn't know that lifestyle.
Well, let's
we didn't understand that.
let's finish up the last question.
So how do we be consistent? Like, in a good way, again, every day.
So, to be honest, honey, I'm learning right now.
We're always learning.
I have not perfected this by a long shot. I've learned consistency with bad things. So that's easy. But as you get older, your habits start to become more ingrained in you.
I got one for you.
Yeah.
You learned how to be a loyal husband consistently.
Ain't she
That
sweet?
I see
Ain't
that
she
with
sweet?
you.
So when you look at the consistency, especially when you get older, it gets harder to change those habits. But really, all we got to do is just make the change.
Yeah.
We say it's hard,
Yeah.
but we only make it as hard as we think.
And believe me, it's taken a lot of work, and it will continue to take more work to have that harmony in marriage, right?
I think what it boils
To
down
have a
to
consistent
is nothing.
relationship.
If you think about it in life, really nothing is too hard. But what we've said to ourselves is we've told ourselves a story that it is.
Right.
And I've told myself stories, and sometimes I still do, about certain things I fear, I don't want, I don't like, don't want to get near.
And the bottom line is, what are we feeding our minds? You talk about the mind and the mindset. What are we feeding these eyes?
So I'll give you a quick example,
That
and then
then hits the mind.
we'll wrap it up, okay?
Yeah.
So there's a woman a young lady named Tori LeBrock. And Tori has all these, she calls it Tori's critters, and she has like all these different animals that most people would shriek at if they had near them. And Tori has no fear whatsoever of snakes, rats, bugs, you name it. She's in it, that's her domain. Me, on the other hand, every time she comes around me with a snake, I want to, like, you know, I'm either going to run or I'm going to take a hatchet and somebody's going to die.
A big gigantic one wrapped around her, yeah.
So we invited her to our church, and she just placed a snake right on my shoulders for just a moment. Now, I knew that this pink snake she has is really not a big deal.
That was the one I think I held.
Yeah, but I got a little scared of it, but it wasn't a huge deal. The boa constrictor I saw the other day, that had a head about that big, that she was put on her shoulders.
Big thing, yeah.
Yeah, we got a problem there. I don't like snakes to begin with, so anytime I see something like that, it's like, hold on, all right? But the bottom line is, if I'm consistent with petting a snake every day, with being around it every day, there could be a chance, there's definitely a chance that my fear of it may dissipate.
Right.
Now, you don't want to mess with a poisonous snake, and I'm not advocating that we're snake handlers as church people, okay? I'm just saying that could actually be a part of it. So, to answer the questions, the solution, I believe, number one is start doing it. Whatever it is, just start doing it.
You have to be intentional.
I mean, I heard it today from a friend. He's like, just drop on your hands and knees and just start doing push-ups. So, two is, you have to change your mindset to say, I don't care what happens today, I have to do this.
Right.
Like, no matter how this day ends, I have to edit this video, and I have to get it to Jason before the day ends.
And what would happen, honey, if we didn't get up and go to work every day, knowing we have to? You know, yeah, you work from home, and I got to go out and do my thing.
Yeah.
But we still have to do it.
But here's the deal. I'm my own boss right now.
Right. You still have to do it.
If I don't do stuff, stuff don't get done.
Right.
And then stuff doesn't get done.
We can't say, Lord, you know, thank you for handling it for us today. If we're not doing our part,
Nope.
it's not going to work.
So I think that's it for now.
Yeah.
And thank you, honey, for joining me in another episode of The Grind. Please let us know your comments down below. You know, what's your consistency issues? Maybe there's something we can pray for you or help you with. And also, if you like the video, give it a big thumbs up for us, okay? And at the same time, oh, excuse me, big coffee. Subscribe to the YouTube channel that we have, which is called Restoration House Media Network. That's it.
Yeah.
And subscribe to that. Share it with people. Let's get the word out. Let's get some people some help.
And we have different programs on there for different likes and so forth. Right?
Yep. Honey, what's our church statement that I'm going to memorize again? Our mission statement.
Oh, our mission statement is to lift the fallen, restore the broken, and help the hurting to advance the kingdom of God. That's what our mission is.
There you have it. Bringing hope to you. Okay?
Take care.
God bless.